back. Very many thanks for choosing to stay with us. And in case you're just joining us, welcome to Kenya's Gold, where the focus of today is learning so much on what we can do when it comes to environment conservation and also how we can adapt to the climate change effect. And I did promise you fantastic guests. And because you're the kind of people that keep their promises, my guests are here. They're charged up, they're pumped up, they're excited, they're young. And yeah, they're change makers in the space of environment. We do have Mr. Haman, 27 years old, and Mr. Sukman, 26 years old. These two great guys are making education paperless. We'll be getting into that and more. We also have the beautiful Santi Yan, representing the Maasai community, very much involved in making sure the indigenous communities are involved in these conversations. And finally, we do have Jimmy, who is the Guinness World Record holder for planting the most number of trees that have ever been planted in a day. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm going to start with you, Jimmy.
Okay.
What led you to this project, and how many trees are we talking that you did plant, and where are these trees?
You know, I did it for my mother, Mother Nature. But actually, in 2019, seeing the forest fires that burnt 3 billion animals, that really got me to do this kind of work. And I'm really passionate about the environment from a young age. I planted 30,469 trees in 24 hours in Shimoni, Kenya.
More trees than your age.
Yeah, well, more trees than any humans planted in history.
Right.
Took me 3 tries, but the reason I did it 3 different times is because it's a stepping stone towards breaking the next world record, which is most trees planted by any number of people, and that's 560 million trees in a day that Ethiopia set.
How did you feel when you finally, given that recognition as a Guinness World Record holder?
It was one of the best feelings of my life. It's incredibly fulfilling, not because, okay, I did it, but because now, like I said, we can go towards that next record. I'm really using this as a stepping stone, and I'm so passionate about it, and it feels incredible. And I want other people to feel that as well.
You're so humble. When I met you, you were like, oh, I'm Jimmy. If it were me, I would be like, oh, by the way, I'm a Guinness World Record holder. It's my first introduction. You're so lucky it's not me. Coming to you, Santi, and you're doing a lot when it comes to involving the Maasai communities. Please talk to us about why that felt very, very important for you. And given that you're coming from a community where most of the people are pastoralists, and we do have challenges such as overgrazing, which we know has very serious effects to the environment, how are you educating your people, and why is it very important to pay attention to these communities?
Very well. I've been a news anchor. I've done a lot of scripting on climate change, on my mother language, and out of it, I felt like there is a gap, because when we speak about it on camera and we're not doing something tangible in the communities, then we're not helping any situation to curb the problems. And so I stepped out and I said, I want to do something with my grassroots home organizations, and that's how I ended up starting Nalala Tree Foundation, which means Wide Tree Foundation. Right. And that's how I kicked it off. And it made it. Yeah.
How are you involving the community? It's you who has started this foundation, but for it to be successful, you cannot do it alone.
Absolutely,
so how do you bring in the Maasai community into this fantastic initiative that you have?
All right. Number one is that we do sensitization in our mother language, that is the Maasai local language, so that we're able to communicate effectively, because when there is no communication, then you've not actually done anything. Right. And so the major thing is communication, the tree planting, and then we also help the vulnerable girls in the institutions and women in the villages as well.
Great, great. Can I be part of that initiative as well?
Definitely. You're a youth, very energetic.
Yes, just like you.
Yeah, we can run
All right,
the race.
coming to you, Mr. Sukman, and of course, Haman. You want to make education paperless. And I feel very bad that at this particular point, I actually do have a paper here. So I know I'm going to be the first person that is being called out. But talk to us about why this is very important. Why are we making education paperless?
We're actually trying to make education free. We're using our platform called Classic, where we've completely digitalized CBC. So as much as we're going paperless, we're also going digital. Yeah.
Why is it very important to go paperless?
Because it's 2024. We're all about saving the climate. And going paperless also means everybody has a laptop, and it's part of globalization, because when you're hooked up to the internet, you're now part of the social networks.
Right. How did you come up with this project? What inspired you? What is the gap that you saw there?
So the cool thing is, what we do is we build schools. We build digital schools and physical schools. And I used to be a teacher myself. I've lectured at a few universities here in Kenya.
Already?
Yeah, yes.
At 27?
I've done quite a bit.
You started working at 5 years?
Man is a genius.
I was doing my dad's taxes when I was 12. So.
He's a genius.
A minute. You were doing your dad's taxes when you were 12 years old.
We've done a lot of things in Kenya. And the biggest project we've ever done is creating a platform. It's not that we're making education free. We've made education free already.
All right.
It's just now about building more schools, getting the message out. And as I said, I was a teacher at a private school here in Kenya, and people were struggling in my classroom, and the reason was access to resources. So I went and investigated if this is what's happening in my school, what's happening in public schools in Kenya, and we wanted to create a solution whereby everyone in Kenya could access digital resources for absolutely free, which we have done. And we also created an AI teacher to explain every book to every student. And it's all free and 24/7 available to everyone.
1.6 billion trees are cut annually for paper production. So we are talking about 24 trees are required to make just 1 ton of paper. So already with what you're doing, you're also reducing the cutting of trees, so that we don't come and cut the trees that Jimmy has gotten.
Please, tafadhali, guys.
You know, because he could be planting all these trees and then we come and cut them to make paper.
The thing we realize is, at the end of your academic year, a lot of people were disposing of their textbooks as well, and it's difficult to pass it over sometimes in Kenya as well. So we're like, what would be the best solution for people to be able to minimize wastage and access the resources? And we came up with this platform, and it's such a clean project because we also incorporate solar in our office. We incorporate solar in the classrooms we're building. We also do projects with biogas, and there's so many solutions around the world now. They just need to now be executed in Kenya. Great.
Yeah. Mr. Sukman, coming to you, we understand that you're also incorporating AI, and the world is moving towards that direction, and we know the complexities that come with the AI. Yeah. How are you making sure that it's simplified in such a way, even the indigenous community, ukienda kwa the Maasai people, where she comes from, they're also not left out in this technology. We understand how complex it can be, but also it's very important for us to get with the program. How are you making sure that every community gets a hang of this?
So Harman is a software engineer, and he has developed the first AI that talks in Swahili.
Yes.
So currently we're also working with indigenous languages. So in fact, we were talking with Sentient. We're going to be putting up a solar-powered container in Narok, and then we'll try and incorporate Maasai indigenous languages in the AI, so that even the young kids, I love them.
Oh, you love the young kids.
I love them.
So what you're trying to say, using the AI, I can get there, and the communication, the sensitization is in Swahili, and you're working on making it even more localized.
Yes.
I can get there and they're speaking Maasai. Yeah. Good stuff. Now, moving to you, Santian, you attended COP28.
Absolutely,
and you're also attending COP29.
Absolutely, yes.
Come on now, who are your friends? You know that. So you're representing our country on the big summits, the big international spaces where a lot of conversations are being had. But more often than not, tumekuwa na ile feeling, people talk and talk and talk and pledge and say all these amazing things, but tukifika kwa ground, I don't know what happens. So since you're part of it, what are you doing to make sure that what is said there is done?
To be sincere, yes, what you've just said is very right. And even though I'm not an expertise yet in the climate space, because personally and career-wise, I'm a journalist, but out of it and the experiences that got outside here, I feel the essence of it. But it's not all about talking, because there are people who are implementing a lot of projects, and just good examples are my fellow youths here. You can feel the air, and even there's so much willing to come to wherever village they are, and they are ready to cope up with the cultures and the climate and wherever. And so I feel like yes, we're doing a lot of talking, and definitely it's out of the talking that you got to do an action. And so I attended COP28, and it's very devastating to say that the loss and damage that is supposed to be compensated for the Global South has not been done yet. And we were not even able, honestly, to also host the loss and damage event. It was taken to Geneva, and it was supposed to be hosted in Nairobi, Kenya. Right. But I look forward to more speaking spaces, because we need to speak out as the Global South, right, and more so as indigenous people. And so through forums and policy making, we're pushing it harder for us to actually access the spaces as Africans and more so as local indigenous communities. Right. And so we do also actions, like for example, in this case, I do grafted fruit tree nurseries for climate resilience projects, right, so that we're able to solve issues of food security, malnutrition amongst the pastoralist communities, put money into the women's pockets and the youth, right, and as well as also landscape restoration, which is actually the major key thing, because we need to curb climate change impacts. Right.
Thank you so very much, Santian, for that explanation. But all these things that you're doing, making the nurseries, the fruit trees, the grafted one, they need resources. They need money. And another young person is watching you right now and is wondering, how do you manage to reach to that point where you have the resources to do what you're doing? When we come back also, Jimmy, I'd like for you to tell me what you're doing to make sure that those trees you planted are growing. That and a lot more will be happening when we come back from this short commercial break.